Taiwan's largest annual military drills, the Han Kuang exercises, wrapped up on Friday. Most notable were the country's coastal defense drills and its first ever airport rappel drill at Taoyuan Airport. But are there any areas the country needs to improve on? Well, for more, our reporter Jaime Ocon spoke to Blake Herzinger, a security analyst from the United States Studies Center.
Now that Taiwan's Han Kuang military exercises have wrapped up, is there anything that the military missed or anything that needs to be improved overall?
Yeah, that's a great question. Taiwan's military, while it is capable and increasing its acquisitions of high-end platforms, we're still looking for kind of a bit more urgency from the Taiwanese military, a bit more recognition, that large, high-dollar platforms aren't probably the way forward for a very small island to defend itself against, one of the largest militaries and most capable militaries in the world. We're still looking for that change in thinking that pervades the entire force, moving toward a more attritable, more decentralized, large numbers of small things that they can afford to lose, that spares their people. That's the kind of thing that we're missing, I think, in Taiwan still from that mix. We're seeing, combat capability. We're seeing the ability to operate in a combined fashion or in a joint fashion across services, but what we are missing is this recognition that the quantitative and qualitative edge is gone.
Weather played a huge factor in this year's drills, with Typhoon Doksuri coming up from the south. What does this mean for the military in the sense that it didn't get a chance to conduct certain types of exercises?
I think one of the things that the typhoon highlights is that this is a region that is often dominated by weather. There is a very small window every year where we assume that the PRC could even attempt an invasion of Taiwan due to weather issues, sea states, and the like. So the interruption of this exercise for weather is a representation of real-world limitations. Now, of course, if the PRC undertook an invasion of Taiwan, you can't just call it off for weather, but calling off an exercise to avoid damage and loss is one thing, but in the midst of an invasion, it highlights the fact that people will be lost. Aircraft, ships will be lost due to bad weather, high seas, and things like that. And so really this is a very real-world factor that played into the exercise in a way that I think is useful for both sides to examine.
And what is the biggest advantage of training in public areas, and what makes Han Kuang so different?
The fact they were able to shut down an airport for an exercise to defend an airport is important. They didn't just go to an empty field somewhere. They practiced where they would fight, which is something that a lot of countries do not do. Now, there is a degree of scriptedness around these exercises, and part of that may be to do with employing conscript forces, which may not be as capable of complex operations, and some of it may just be the nature of the exercise. There's always a degree of scriptedness to any activity, and really the sophistication of each military will differ. Now, how that translates to combat is the fact that once combat begins, most of your plans will go out the window. The planning is the part that is useful, not the plan itself, because really kind of the old adage that no plan survives first contact with the enemy is very true. If we look at, for instance, Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the plans on both sides have clearly been scrapped. Both sides undertook operations thinking they would go one way, and they've clearly gone another. It would be the same for Taiwan.